Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are all doing well. Thank you so much for joining me today here on the Black Theatre Workshop Facebook Live page. My name is Quincy Armorer. I am the Artistic Director of Black Theatre Workshop. And in this context, I am also the host of our In Conversation With series. So thank you, first of all, for being here. It is Thursday, the 16th of July, which means we are just at about 4 months now of quarantine, lockdown, social distancing, social isolation, all of it. And I'm sure there's lots of feelings, good and bad, about where we are at with all of that. It's been certainly hard, personally, professionally, on that end, hills and valleys. But one of the good things is that it has given me and Black Theatre Workshop the opportunity to have this series and to be able to share with you some of the important people and artists and things that are happening in our community. I've really enjoyed having these in conversations so far. I think this is the 6th one that we've done since we started. And I really enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying it as well. If you're watching, I guess that means that you are. So again, thanks for being here. Our guest today is a very, very talented young man. He is an actor. He is a graduate of the theater department at Dawson College and an alumnus of our Artist Mentorship Program over at Black Theatre Workshop. And I wanted to have him, his name is Justin Johnson. I'll introduce him officially in just a little bit. But I wanted to have him on the show because he's definitely a talent that I and BTW is keeping an eye on. Super, super talented. He's worked with us on a couple of different projects so far, and there is something coming up in the next year or so, COVID dependent, where hopefully you'll be able to experience a little bit more of his talents. And I wanted to have him here today to talk a little bit about his career, a little bit about where he's at in terms of this quarantine, where he is at in terms of things that are happening in our community, the Black community, Black Lives Matter, and everything that's going on in that area. And just to be able to introduce you to him so that you know a little bit more about him. So I'm super happy to have him here. Enough of me talking. I'd love to just bring him in right now. So please help me in welcoming my guest for today, Mr. Justin Johnson. Hello, Justin. How are you?
Now you can hear me.
Oh,
Hey, I'm good. Yourself?
I'm doing good. First of all, thank you, Justin, for agreeing to be on our In Conversation With series. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, that's to say, my pleasure. I'm super, super happy. I want to start off by just asking that one question. There's so much going on in the world right now. How are you doing?
I gotta say it's the thing I've been saying a lot these days, but I'm just grateful that I'm blessed enough to I work from home, so that's also a blessing, but I'm happy and I'm safe and I have food on my table, and there's a lot of crazy things going on right now which could be a lot worse, so I'm just grateful and I'm blessed and I'm making it through all that jazz.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think we have to try to remember that that many of us have so much more than many others who just don't have, and sometimes it's hard in these kinds of situations to focus on the positive or to remember those blessings that you have. So it's a nice reminder to remember that it absolutely could be worse than it is right now. Just to share. Pardon me?
No, I said 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to quickly just share a brief little anecdote. I remember at one point years and years ago hanging out with my family at one point over Christmas, and my folks were both working at one point, and then at some point they just weren't working anymore, and we were just hanging out at Christmas and talking about presents and things like that, just having that conversation of it's realizing what is important, and my mother in her beautiful Trini accent talking about how I have to put that in there, talking about how we have so much more than most. We got food on the table, we have this, we have each other, we have to remember all the good lessons we have, and so it's really necessary, I think, right now to take the time to be grateful for all of those things. So thank you for dropping that in there.
Yeah, 100%. I think that like the world kind of reminds us of everything that's going on a lot, and it's good because it's opening up our eyes and waking a lot of people up. And so it's important to be able to look at yourself and be happy for the things that you do have and keep that positivity as much as you can so that you can combat some of the darkness that you might face up against. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned that you're working from home. Are you like, what is it for you at home? Are you living alone? Are you with roommates, family? Do you have at least some kind of social interaction?
Yeah. Yeah, no, luckily enough, I am living with a roommate. So I do have some sort of social something going on at least.
Yeah.
But I think that the one thing that has come from a lot of this quarantine time is that I've reconnected with my family, with my moms and cousins and so on and so forth, just, through Zoom calls and Facebook chats and so on. And I think it gave me an opportunity to realize the importance of those that can give you good energy, or that can understand you, or whatever the case may be. That support system's super important. So luckily enough, that's happened out of having to stay home a lot. but yeah, no, I think that it's important to make sure that when the world forces you to be in that little box, that you can still kind of connect with people, because community is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super important.
I wanted to just share a little bit about your history and how we've come to know each other, basically,
Yeah.
through this wonderful profession and industry that we both love so much, called the theater. As I mentioned at the beginning, that you first of all, you studied in Cégep at Dawson in their professional theater training program. Graduated in 2013, I believe, is what you had said. So let's start there. This is a question that I always love to ask people. Why the theater?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, I mean, from young, I think I always knew I wanted to perform and be in the arts in some capacity. And I remember the first time I discovered theater was in high school, and I just went out to audition, and my teacher kind of encouraged me to keep going for it. And when it was at the time to apply for college, she's like pushed me towards it, and I said, yeah, okay, I'll try it out. And then when I got a chance to explore it a bit more, I think what I discovered and what made me fall in love with it originally, in the sense, is that it allowed you to take, like, a lot of times we see movies and we see other things that are the finished product, and theater allows you to kind of live the process not only in a lengthy and sort of in-depth manner where you get to really kind of bite into whatever role you're going to, but then when you actually put the final product, you're still living in it. You're still kind of experiencing it as it's being shown. It's no longer something that you kind of maybe separate and put on a pedestal and say, everybody look at it. It's something that you're still within. And in doing that, I think it was just another level of exploring those like artistic cravings that I had since I was younger. And so theater just kind of allowed me to really dig into that stuff. And I think it's beautiful that we can share these magical moments that happen in time with people in the room, and really kind of connect and hopefully inspire, and so on and so forth. So yeah.
Brilliant. Awesome.
Yeah.
What was the experience of theater school like for you? I know for myself, I went to Concordia just a couple of years before you went to Dawson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Decades.
Year or two, I would assume.
But I know that, certainly for me, at the time that I went to theater school, I was one of very few BIPOC people in the programs there, which is really an interesting experience to be in. What was it like for you to be studying theater at the time that you did it, at the institution that you were studying it, as the person of color that you are?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that because, well, I mean, everybody has their individual journey about understanding their connection to their race or their heritage and so on. And I think that at the time I was still kind of just discovering what it meant, or what it meant to me to be Black, and what it meant to me to be an artist of color in a society that's not necessarily designed for artists of color all the time. And looking back, when I can look back on my experience now, I can see the difficulties that I might not have opened my eyes to in the moment, or so on and so forth. But there's a lot of blessings that come with that as well. But when I was in it, I think it was just an experience to discover my art. And as much as it was difficult kind of going through it, I think I learned a lot as well. And at least I had like, certain mentors or certain people that I could reach out to that did understand an experience as an artist of color that helped me kind of go through those tougher times. But I will say that's something like not just in theater school and in every school I've been to, especially because I've moved around a lot when I was younger. It's a very strange experience to be the only or the small few in a group of people, and to have to represent everything for that group of people, or to have to kind of live up to an expectation. And it's something that we're still dealing with on many levels, and kind of trying to understand as we navigate this sort of change in our understanding of race and so on and so forth. But I like I said before, I'm an optimist, so I try to focus on positive as much as I possibly can. And I think that looking at what I experienced, and then looking at, let's say, I don't know your experience, but let's say what you experienced, and then looking back, and I see the little steps forward and the little victories, and it gives me hope that as long as we can keep having those little victories and keep moving forward, that one day it's not even going to be a question that someone considers to have to go through that, to have to feel like you're the only voice or the only representation of something in an area where people aren't even, considering it or whatever.
Yeah, I think one of those things that became, post theater school, a real victory for me. Obviously, it has to do a lot with Black Theater Workshop. Now, obviously, I'm biased. I'm the AD now. This company's been a part of my life for as an AD for 9 years, but even going back much longer. But there is something about as a person of color, as a Black theater artist, being associated with Black Theater Workshop, and then switching that entire, like a whole 180, where you're like the only person of color, the only Black person involved in the show, and then you get to be at BTW where it's all of you, or at least the majority.
Yeah.
That's so, like, to be able to be in a room and know that you're working with other Black actors as opposed to going for the same role against other Black actors. Was a huge victory. And one of the, I'm sorry not to cut you off there, but one of the first times that we got to share that together was when you were a part of the reading that we did in collaboration with Imago Theater on Ruined by Lynn Nottage. So I'm just going to give our viewers here a little bit of context. So for those of you who don't know, this was a project that was created by Imago Theater. They had a theater festival that was called Have We Forgotten Yet, that focused on stories about war. And they invited 5 theater companies to be a part of it, like BTW and Playwrights, Workshop Montreal, Geordie Productions. Who else was in there? Tisserie Junior Theater and Scapegoat Carnival. And we each were able to do a staged reading of a play that focused on war. So for BTW, we chose Ruined by Lynn Nottage. You were in that cast. And that was great because it was I think there was 10 of us in the cast. 9 of whom were Black people telling this story that was set in Africa. Like that for me was a really significant experience. What was that like for you? Because that was even earlier in the career for you after school.
Yeah, that was, I had mentioned earlier as well, and anybody can see it on my Facebook profile. It's still the banner that I have. I think, and again, it's like I look at it now and I realize how big of a moment it was. And I guess in the moment you're so caught up in everything you don't realize. But it's definitely one of the things that changed my perception of the industry that I was in, or at least opened my eyes to the possibility of something like that. Because I remember even before that, I think so. You were at a show. And somebody told me that you were at the show. I don't know if I ever told you this, but somebody told me that you were at the show and that you were BTW, and they're like, oh, you should meet him and stuff like that. And it was the first moment that I was like, wow, this is an important person that I'm actually interested in really giving my stuff to, because I feel like they'll know a bit more about what I'm going through. And then doing Ruined, it was like the next step of that, like opening up my eyes, of seeing that like there is more to to this, I guess, experience in the industry than I thought. And it's still the memory to this day that like of a show that felt so not only just comfortable but also impactful, and like I felt like I was working with legends in a way, because these are all people that like were killing it in their careers. Yeah, it was amazing cast, man. It was incredible to bring together all those people.
The cast. I hope I don't forget anybody, but we had Warona Setsuayelo, Tristan D. Lala, Tamara Brown, Letitia Brooks, Liana Montoro, Justin Johnson, Mike Payette, Christian Paul. I'm missing somebody. Patrizio Sanzari was in there. And there's one more. Oh, am I missing? I'm going to look it up after.
I feel terrible about this.
I know. I already feel bad about it. But as you say, such a great cast, an awesome experience. Our thanks to Inigo for inviting us to be a part of that to begin with. Because it was just really lovely. I'm going to segue now from that experience onto the fact that you are also an alumnus of our Artist Mentorship Program.
Yeah. Incredible.
It's so great. I think 2017-18, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm mistaken.
So what was the experience of AMP like for you?
Yeah, well, again, like that's another this is the next step, I would say, in the whole waking up myself a little bit. But I think it was I think that was the moment or the experience that really made me understand the step from feeling like I was not an amateur actor or just like, but whatever, to becoming like a professional actor, because it not only provided me with, a plethora of tools to use and to understand the industry itself, but there were connections, and especially because it's with Black Theatre Workshop, and it's the emphasis on diversity and people of color and so on and so forth is obviously ingrained in the actual program. So the people I got to meet were like across every spectrum you can imagine, and the ability to just know that I'm connecting with these people in a group that is empowering was really special. And like, every program has its journey of learning and discovery, and there was ups and downs, but I never felt like I was unsupported or not understood in the struggles that I would deal with as an actor, or that I would bring up as a performer, or so on and so forth. And that was a really very encouraging thing as a performer. And I remember at the time too, I was like, as we go through, I was wondering whether or not this is the right choice, or where do I go next, and so on and so forth. And it was a nice little thumbs up, like, keep going and you can do it, and look what else is out there, and so on and so forth. So that was a great experience that I would recommend to anybody that wants to take that step.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's the program is just growing and thriving right now. We've got Warona Setsuayelo is now the coordinator of the program, and she's got Mariah Inger as her assistant, and things are just ballooning and blossoming so beautifully. So grateful to have had you a part of the program. So grateful to have everybody else.
I'm just gonna have to cut the video once, just a technical issue, but you can still hear me, so I'm still with you. So sorry about this.
Okay. That's all good. Don't worry about it. But it will also give me an opportunity to say Matthew Cabway. That is the 10th actor who was in the
yes, of course. Oh my God.
Cabway. I know. I love it. So great. We worked together a few times, actually, Matt and I. My goodness, I don't even remember how many shows. But yeah, and then so Justin, you were also. Hi, June is watching. Wonderful. I'm so curious to know what's happening.
Me too.
So much promotion. But while you're doing that, you also, I think that you probably even before the Ruined reading, you did the reading of our Discovery series, stage reading of The Bridge by Dr. Grant. So that probably would have been your first foray into a connection with us.
Yes, 100%.
So that, and then Ruined, and then of course the mentorship program, and then more recently, last season, you were in another Discovery series for a play that was supposed to be a part of our upcoming 50th anniversary season until this pandemic happened, and so our season is kind of not what it was originally going to be. But for everybody who's out there watching, Justin was in the staged reading of Black and Blue Matters by Omari Newton. This was last year in October, yes indeed. And it's a play that he had commissioned. So Omari Newton is writing it. It's a companion piece to his play, Sal Capone, The Lamentable Tragedy of, that we premiered at Black Theatre Workshop in 2013. That was a Black Theatre Workshop and Urban Inc. co-production. Urban Inc. is out in Vancouver. And so this is the companion piece. And leading up to the actual production of it, we did the stage reading last year. Justin was a part of that cast. There we are. And so I wanted to, that's okay. My God, we have to go with the flow. We have an in conversation with series because we've had to go with the flow because we have live performance. So it's all good. But Ruined was so good. Oh, thank you, Craig Francis. That was awesome.
It was an amazing show.
It was a good one. It was a good one. We might have to do a whole thing. But with Black and Blue Matters, and being in the staged reading, what was it like for you? Because it has to deal with police brutality against our community, the Black community. That was the nucleus for the original story from Sal Capone, and it's continued now into Black and Blue Matters. So, given that that's the subject matter of what Black and Blue Matters is about, how does that weigh into the significance or the importance of being a part of that project for you?
Yeah, well, it's a heavy subject matter, but it's definitely relevant. And as you know, and I'm sure we can discuss that aside as well. But and I released a video, but I lost my dad to police brutality. As many people might know the story, might not. So growing up, my way of dealing with that pain, I think, was to try and live my life as happily and fully as I possibly could, as a sort of revenge play to the forces that be. This show, or at least being part of the reading, was a chance for me, I think, to, as a creator too, because I love to write and direct and so on as well, to see every kind of checkpoint of what kind of a show I think I needed and I think the world needs right now, kind of checked off in its content and in the way that it's put together. And I think that being able to play that character in the reading and to go through those emotions, or go at least through the anger and the pain a little bit, which is something I think I've pushed aside. As much as I say it's I'm just trying to be positive, but I've pushed aside a lot, has helped me heal a little bit, or at least express some of that pain. And I think that, or I hope that it will have the same effect on a lot of younger Black people who might not know the way to express that kind of pain, or might not know how to, or might not see anything that reflects that sort of anger to give them that catharsis, or to give them that understanding, or so on and so forth. So not only do I think it was an amazing thing, or a really kind of a teaching thing for me, but I think that it's going to be, and it was, an incredible sort of piece for the Black community, especially the younger Black community, hopefully enough, but especially the younger Black community to experience. So I'm very, very just hopeful for that. I can't wait to get to explore that a little bit more, to get to do that for others. And I think that as long as more of that kind of work comes out, I think that's, I don't know how else to say it, but I just think that's a good thing. I think that's a nice thing.
I agree. I think it's a super, super good thing. I did see the video that was shared that you were talking about, where you talked about the story of your dad. First of all, very vulnerable and generous of you to share such a real and personal story with us. So thank you, first of all, for being so open with that. And I guess I wonder if we're still going to be bringing this show to the stage. We're not sure exactly when, but so for everybody watching, we are at some point going to be premiering the play Black and Blue Matters by Mary Newton. We just need to figure out exactly when it's going to be. But I'm hoping that, as you say, that there's a little bit of that healing process or something that comes along with being able to take such a personal story and put it into this practice, into your art, which I think is what so much of us try to do. I know that in part that was the nucleus for Omari in terms of writing it. He was inspired after the shooting death of Freddie Villanueva back in 2008, and took 5 years to get the first play, Al Capone, to come to the stage. So my hope is that this play and other plays like it, especially given on what's going on in the world right now, will be a way for artists and audiences to find some kind of, I don't know, solace, comfort, reflection.
I think everybody's going to get their own,
whatever it is.
Yeah. No, that's it.
I think that's exactly it. Everybody's gonna get their own thing out of it. But why don't you? I talk too much. Let's hear from you. What do you think or hope will be the result of a production like Black and Blue Matters?
Yeah, I think not only in the content itself, which I will kind of speak on in just a second, but I think that in seeing just to play it out like plainly, just to see Black creator creating something that isn't the usual tale and isn't told in the usual way, is going to inspire a lot of Black, or that's the hope, that's the dream. It's going to inspire a lot of Black creators to believe that the ideas that they have in their head that they might think the world won't accept or the world isn't ready for yet or whatever, that they can, and that it's possible, and that the world will be ready when you put that out there, type of thing. And then in terms of the content, like, I mean, there's so much that can be said on what's going on right now, but what's been going on for centuries in terms of the power struggle between races and between ignorance and those who are trying to wake up a little bit. And I think that this tale will continue a fight that's been going on forever and continue to kind of to allow people not to forget that just because everyone is smiling for a second or for a week or for whatever, that there isn't still a fight to be had, or there isn't still something to be taught, there isn't still something to be explored. Because I think it's very easy, especially in today's generation with social media kind of running our livelihood, to fall into the trope of loving and passionately caring for something for a week and then just forgetting about it because it was too much on ourselves, or we feel guilt, or we feel whatever. We feel the things that we should feel but are afraid to. So yeah, I think I hope and I think that this is going to be a way to remind people that the victories are there, but it's still an ongoing thing. And it will honestly almost always be an ongoing thing to try to improve ourselves. You know what I mean? The fight to try to improve how we understand dealing with each other and how we understand respect and just being decent human beings. So
yeah, no, I hear that. I hear that for sure.
Yeah.
We're coming up soonish on the end of our time together, but I have a couple other questions that I still want to ask. And I guess the first one that I want to ask is, well, what else is going on in Justin Land? Do you have any other projects on the go that you want to talk about or let everybody know about? Because I did see that there was when I was checking out your Facebook page at one point, I saw that there's this project that you were working on that has to do Paris. I don't know if it's something that it was very vague on there. I couldn't gather very much information from it.
That's okay.
So how much about that project can you tell us about?
Keep the mystique going a little bit. So it's for music. I'm it's so weird to say it because I'm like so used to just saying I'm an actor, but it's like I'm also an artist in music. So it's a music video that I've been working on, and luckily enough, it's graciously enough been going to be premiered in a magazine that's in Paris, France. So I'll get a little international audience for the first time, which would be nice. And I think that what I will say about it, just to, I guess, kind of give you guys a little. I think it's a summer song, and it's a song about kind of being able to live your life unapologetically, to not have to answer to the opinions and thoughts of a system that isn't necessarily designed for you all the time. And I think it's a song to remind myself, and I hopefully other Black artists or artists in general, that a lot of the struggles that we are going through is to be able to live our lives unencumbered by our connection to this fight. Even though it's real and it's there, I feel like we need to remind ourselves that we are doing this, that we can live our lives how we want to live our lives, and we can be happy, and we can rest, and we can go out and dance and enjoy ourselves, and not have to worry about other eyes and so on and so forth. So that's that's I was just reading the comments. that's
Thanks,
what I'm
Alan.
hoping from this song. Yeah, thank you. I'm hoping from this song and from the many songs to come in the future. I want to be able to uplift and empower. I think that's what I want to do with all my art and all my explorations and so on. So yeah, check it out.
Absolutely. Check it out, everybody. We are so on the same page there. And I guess moving into maybe what will be my final question of the day, unfortunately, Justin, how do I put this? Is there something specific, or maybe even just generally, that you would like to see coming up imminently in the world of the theater? And I'm talking about, like, basically we're now living in this, like, things are changing, right?
Yeah.
This industry that we're in, we've had to adapt drastically, and as devastating as it has been for artists and theater performers and companies, organizations, everything, I'm trying as much as possible to focus on opportunity, to take challenge and try to turn it into opportunity. And in that regard, I'm wondering, is there anything specific that you hope might evolve in the world of the theater as a result of this craziness that we are all going through right now?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think I've had a talk with like a couple of people in the industry as well that are trying to figure out how they can show or not even show, but how they can help and how they can do their part. And I think my thought on that is that a lot of people are comfortable with helping and with being an ally or so on and so forth or whatever, when it's not at a risk. And it's understandable because we're all human. We're all just trying to make sure that we're still there the next day to do more and so on and so forth. But I think, if anything, I just want to see people taking risks, giving people a shot, using your platform to allow voices that aren't heard as much. And it's something that everybody does continuously, but I think that we can do more, and I think that we have an opportunity while the world is watching and while everybody's kind of forced to sit at home and think about what's happening a little bit more, to really take the risks that may not pan out, but may be one of the best things you do. And if that's with just Black creators, using your platform, if that's just with you promoting certain things, I'm not sure exactly what specifics you would need to do, and I think it's going to be different for every company, but I think that what's important is that you don't choose the safe route in a time like this, that you take those risks, I think. Yeah, so that's not
Very
vague
well
and
said,
not too vague, but yeah.
No, that's very, very well said, and thank you for that, Justin. It's a little bit of our time, unfortunately, but it's been so great to on here and to just talk a little bit about you and your work, and to let our audience know a little bit more about you. Many of them, obviously, Ellen David being one of them, very familiar with you and your work. But I wanted to make sure that more people can get to be out there and to know you. Before we go, I'm just going to say to all of our viewers there. Thank you for watching. Please, if you haven't already, follow us on our social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We definitely want to have you there. We're going to try to continue to have as many of these in conversations as well as some other online content coming up over the course of the summer. Maybe a little bit more sporadic as our team goes on some very well-earned vacation time over the course of the next month. But we definitely want to have some activity going. So please stay connected to Black Theatre Workshop on our social media. We are so grateful to all of our fans, patrons, supporters, viewers, everything. So stay with us. And Mr. Justin Johnson, again, thank you so much. It's been great. It's been great to just sit here and chat with you in this way.
Lovely.
I look forward to being in the same room with you again whenever that can happen. And for all of you out there, keep in mind that he's over there. For me, he's over there. Justin is going to be in a BTW production as soon as we can program it. And I, for one, am very much looking forward to having the talent and the skills and the awesomeness of Justin Johnson on the Black Theatre Workshop stage.
Keep it going.
I knew you were going to say something like that. But seriously, Justin, again, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Good. All right, everybody. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Enjoy your weekend. Look out for the next In Conversation, which is going to be in 2 weeks on Thursday, July the 30th. And we will have more information about who our guests will be coming up very shortly. Have a great
visit Justin Land.
Don't forget to go to Justin Land. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.